Welcome to Season 2 of Path of the Brush, powered by Ultra Pro. Let's sling some paint. All right. Whoa, we're live. Hey everybody, welcome to Path of the Brush. I'm your host Rick here on Gen Con TV. Big shout out to Gen Con TV for allowing us to do this craziness that we do every week. And thank you for joining us. Our special guest tonight is Kyle from Wyrd Games, or Wyrd Miniatures. You might know the company because of their games Malifaux, Through the Breach, The Other Side, and Vagrant Song, which I believe Kyle had a pretty decent part in its creation. Welcome, Kyle.
Hey, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And you did have a pretty big influence on this particular game right here, right?
Yeah, that's my baby.
It is. It is so nice. It is. This game. It seems like it was one of those like out from left field. It just and it hit the community. Just was like, what is this? Oh, nom, 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 and just gobbled it up. All right, because it's always like, well, we're in another printing. We're waiting for another delivery.
Yeah, I still can't believe the reception it received. Had no idea what to anticipate when we started putting it together, and then when we put it out, like you just said, we couldn't hold on to the thing.
Yeah.
I think we're on our 4th or 5th reprint right now. We have the Kickstarter going on, so
yeah. Big Kickstarter, doing very well. What is the name of the Kickstarter for everybody watching if they want to go take a peek?
So the Kickstarter is for 2 new expansions for it, Vagrant Song Encore and Off the Rails. So if you search for those on the Kickstarter, you should be able to find it.
Nice. But we are called Path of the Brush, which means we paint stuff here. While I ask you all sorts of crazy questions about your part in the industry, your part in regards to the game development and everything, and designing and everything that goes into Vagrant Song, your relationship with Wyrd and how weird that must be, because they're awesome folks. I love everybody over there. So tonight, you and I are both painting the same miniature and doing it in a little bit different styles each. So tell me a little bit more about Mako Joe.
Yeah, so I've already got mine built.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mako Joe is one of the haints in Vagrant Song. Haint is an old-timey word for ghost that we use. And in the game, you're saving these haints by giving them back their lost humanity. And a lot of the ghosts in the game are inspired by real American folklore or ghost stories, and Mako Joe's no exception. He's if you look up Mako Lights, you'll find a little bit more about where we pulled the inspiration from, but he was essentially a brakeman who lost his head. So that's why he's headless.
That's awesome.
And you get to experience a little bit of his backstory in the game.
Nice. I also noticed that in the box, so this is an iconic miniature, which if I am, and please correct me if I am wrong, because I usually am. Your iconic miniature line is not necessarily a playable line of miniatures for in-game use. These are you're taking characters from Vagrant Song, and they have other iconics from different, like from Malifaux and other parts of the Malifaux verse that are just for painting and just for the enjoyment of that hobby, right?
Yeah, essentially. We'd like to think of the iconic stuff as celebrations of the characters that we've created over the years. Up to this point, we've predominantly dipped our toes into just Malifaux characters, many of which actually do come with playable versions at the scale that we use in Malifaux.
Okay.
This iconic Joe is at a much larger scale.
Oh yes.
But so he's more for painters who want to put something fun on the shelf. But this version, this iconic character comes with 3 junk cards that are usable in Vagrant Song. So
one of them is the bloody bag.
Right. Yeah. And if you don't want to spoil too much about the scenario, but as you can see, he's missing a head. So I think you
Ooh,
could come to certain
yeah,
conclusions about what's in that bloody bag.
yeah. And ticket puncher and dented lunchbox, and that's a really awesome looking lunchbox. I like the old timey lunchbox and thermos there, and of course
Hmm.
the ticket puncher with a skull head on it is just beautiful. And this speaks highly to the artwork. We were talking about it before we went live here. The art style is you call it rubber hose. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the old word for it. But we've seen
Hmm.
a bunch of different interpretations of it over the
Yeah.
years. Betty Boop, more recently Cuphead, and
Hmm.
so
That
yeah,
what was that? Unicorn. What was the other one we were talking about? Unicorn Eternal Warriors. Unicorn Eternal Warriors or
I got to
Eternal
check
Warriors
this out.
Unicorn.
Warriors Eternal.
Warriors Eternal Unicorn or something like that, and it's on HBO, and they use the same kind of art style as well. And I was just like, this is amazing that it's with your game Cuphead and that also animated series, it's bringing that vibrancy back in an art style that was what from like the 20s, right?
Yeah, 20s, 30s, and
Yeah.
that's kind of why we decided on this art style because the
Mm,
game takes place roughly in that same time period. So we
okay.
wanted the art to kind of reflect that theme wise.
That's awesome. So let's get the painting, and a big shout out to Army Painter, who is our exclusive sponsor here at Path of the Brush for paint. We're going to be playing with. I'm going to start working on the actual ghostly bits
Okay.
um, and using toxic mist to get that ghostly green blue
Ooh, I like that
look.
color. I need to get some of that. I was actually just looking for the right
Hmm.
Haint blue,
Yeah,
so that looks like it's going to hit the spot.
that would actually be a really good name for a color, just Haint blue. I'm also going to do a little bit of a dry brush to give it a lighter um, aspect over it as well, and then come on to it with the full toxic mist. The full toxic mist. So while we were getting started here, tell me a little bit about the process or what it was that you where you were like sitting on the couch or at the dinner table or were you at a booth at a con and talking to someone else going, it'd be interesting, a game about a train and ghosts based on the 1920s. How did that all come to fruition?
So it actually we were working on a different project at the time, a dungeon crawler, and for whatever reason, the theme wasn't really quite clicking with me.
Okay.
So what I ended up doing is I went up to Nathan, my boss, the
Hmm.
owner of Weird Games, and I pitched a couple dozen ideas. And the last one, my Hail Mary, was Vagrant Song. It
Okay.
was the Crazy Dream project that kind of just combines all of my interests.
Hmm.
I grew up reading books from Jack Kerouac, like the Dharma Bums,
Yeah.
um, and I love horror movies. So it was just kind of a perfect combination of those things, and that was the one that connected with him the most. And 2 years later, here we are.
Yeah. Enjoying that. And like I said, when that first came out, I was like, "Oh, this looks amazing." And I was talking to Kelly, and I was like, "Hey, Kelly, can I, get a copy of that?" And she's like, no, that is the last one, and it's our demo copy." I was like, "It is
Yeah.
15 minutes into the show, Kelly," and she's like, "I know."
Yeah, when we
It was
first
awesome.
launched it at the first Gen Con,
Mm-hmm.
we had a certain set of copies for each day,
Mm-hmm.
and it sold out within the first 10 minutes or so each
Yeah,
day. Did not expect that at all.
it was awesome
Yeah,
and well deserved.
thank you.
It's a super fun game. I've done quite a few videos around it, so it's like it is. If you're watching this and you haven't picked it up yet, I'm guessing you can probably get it through the Kickstarter as an add-on or
Yep.
something, or go to weird-games.net and or go to your friendly local game store and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
put this on your shelf so I can put it on my table."
Yeah, the core game's been out for a little bit, but if you haven't gotten it yet, yeah, local game stores are a great option. But like you said, it is available as an add-on or as part of one of the stretch goals in our Kickstarter that we're doing right now. So
Perfect. Fun fact: Haint Blue was said to trick Haints into believing that they've stumbled into water, so a lot of older southern porch ceilings had the color.
yep.
I love it.
And that's why you'll see it in a lot of cartoons these days that ghosts are painted or are that color for
Hmm.
because of that connection. So
Nice. That's a wonderful fun fact. Because as we all know, fun facts aren't normally fun, but that is a fun fact, and indeed it is. This is awesome. These ghosts are so like emotive.
yeah. Yeah, they've got a ton of character.
All right, so you did the Hail Mary pitch to Nathan, and he was like, "Well, I think that might be the one, right?" Because
Were you in there? Because I think that was verbatim what he said. Yeah.
I could just imagine that being his his way of like pitch or delivering his response to that. Um, and so now you get into the process, or did you already have some of the meat to this kind of put together?
We had a lot of the concepts,
Hmm.
but what we actually ended up doing was, um, so during that time we were working on Malifaux Third Edition.
Hmm.
We were prepping that. So basically, what we did is we put kind of a hold on the development of Vagrant Song
Right.
to focus on Third Edition, but every so often we would have a brainstorming session or something like that,
Yeah.
and we pretty much did that for 2 years,
Okay.
slowly building up the concepts of Vagrant Song, the things that we wanted to do, slowly reshaping it,
Hmm.
and then once Third Edition and the Explorer Society faction wrapped up, we got to work on the core game, and I think it only took 8 months at that point to actually build the thing because of the amount of time that we took just brainstorming it all together.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, that then we had a finished product.
Wow, I love it. Well, one of the things I like about it is the components, right? The
Yeah.
acrylics of the characters that you can encounter or play are amazing.
Yeah,
And
and I mean, we're a minis company,
yeah.
predominantly. So that was
Yeah.
a new approach for us, and I'm glad we took that approach because of
Hmm.
the two-dimensional art style that we ended up landing on. It just
Hmm.
looks great on the table, and with a lot of the characters being transparent, it just helped push that even more.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. So of all the characters, playable or encounterable,
oh boy.
which one is your like that's my sweetheart character right there. That's
This I get this question from time to time, and
yeah.
every single time it changes.
Okay.
The one vagrant in particular that I have a soft spot for is the Songsmith. That
Okay.
was real early on one of the starting characters that I knew had to be in the game. We needed to have a folk musician
Hmm.
based on the theme.
Yeah.
But as far as ghosts go, today I'm going to say the Man of Many Limbs. So a lot of the
Ooh.
ghosts that we have are inspired by American folklore and ghost stories, as I said earlier. But the Man of Many
Hmm.
Limbs was one of our original creations. It was,
Okay.
loosely inspired by Frankenstein's monster. But in our story, the Silver Ferryman, which is the name of the train that you're on,
Hmm.
it's flying by this graveyard and it collects all these corpses in that graveyard and they kind of coagulate into one horrible mass. And there we have it, the Man of Many Limbs.
I love it. That's a really good one. I'm going to open it up and grab that here in a second, so we can take a look at them, and so everybody can see just how awesome that is. I mean, they're all awesome, um, and especially the vagrants themselves. And I think the Songsmith is the one that I gravitate towards when I want to play the game as well. I've kind of like a is he the one that's kind of portly?
Yeah, with the
Yeah,
the banjo, and
yeah,
he's really fun to play because he's a good generalist. You know, it
yeah.
doesn't matter what everyone else is playing;
Hmm.
he's always going to be useful in some capacity.
Right.
Um, so I
And
always like when I'm playing. I like bard-like characters. You know, someone who's going to be buffing other characters, helping them out, and that's kind of what the Songsmith does in Vagrant Song.
okay, yeah, it's so good. All right. So I fibbed. I was going to get into that blue, but I didn't want this. I kind of pushed out a little too much gray brain matter beige, which is what I'm using as my light base. Uh, so I didn't want it to be wasted. So I'm going to do the shirt on Mako Joe here, his undershirt, which is kind of a white, but not like pure white,
Hmm.
a little off white, because maybe he in that hot southern sun got a little sweaty up in there before he lost his head, which is awesome. So, all right, so you went through the process. You had all these different things that was going on around you with third edition and other obligations in the with Malifaux and everything. Because so you are known for Malifaux design as well, correct?
Yeah. Most recently, I've actually taken a step back
Mm-hmm.
and allowing much smarter minis designers to work on the latest book that's coming out,
Okay.
and I'm really excited about what they've put together. But as far as the core of third edition, Explorer Society, and some of the other
Mhm.
expansions, yeah,
Okay. And what was your first foray into game design? That was like the thing that was like, yep, this is for me. I'm in.
the very first thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
boy, we can go back to when I was 12, 13 years old, making play by post role playing games. But
Wait,
really, as far as like a game uh, that was a little bit more of substance was probably after I graduated. I was on a small indie team working on a video game.
okay.
Are you familiar with the game Terraria?
I am Terraria. Is that a side scroller?
Yeah, it's kind of got like crafting and Minecraft like
Yeah.
elements and that sort of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were working on a game that was very similar to that, except it had like base building and
Okay.
protecting and RPG elements. But
Okay.
um, and then after that, I weird made a post, a job posting, and I said, "What the heck?
Mm.
Um, I don't know enough about tabletop. This is a good learning opportunity," and I applied. And
Okay.
7 years later, here we are.
Perfect. That's awesome. Uh, I think I've known Nathan and Kelly for at least that long. Um, I met Kelly. I think the first time I met Kelly was at Origins,
Okay.
and this is when I was working for Alliance Game Distributors and Diamond Comics. And for those that don't know Kelly, she is a sweetheart, but she also is very much a you know if she likes you or not, which is one of those things that I think more people need to be, you know, actively honest in that, and she is actively honest in that, and I
Yeah,
love
and
it.
she keeps everyone around her honest too.
She does 100%. I adore her. She is she's one of my uh she's a bestie. I call her a bestie, but the big thing is uh we encourage each other to be healthy and like she always is reaching out and asking me how am I feeling, am I taking care of myself, because she knows that I think like many people who are creatives, uh sometimes we put a little bit more on our plate than we should be putting on our plate, and sometimes it gets to be too much. And I think she sees that in me and others, and this is where her heart comes out, and she's like, "Take care of yourself." and I appreciate her for all of that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. Whenever I see you at a convention or Kelly sees you, it doesn't
yeah,
matter what she's doing. It's just going to stop, step
yeah,
out of the booth, and say hi to you.
yeah. I love it. She's the best. She is absolutely the best. Um, so with these new expansions with Encore, what are some things that, without giving away too much, what are some things that people should be excited about um, adding that to their gameplay?
So Encore is going to provide a lot of things that you're already enjoying in Vagrant Song. It's going to add a
Mhm.
lot more scenarios.
Okay.
It's going to add a new game mode. So the core campaign of Vagrant Song is about 20 plus scenarios long. But what Encore allows you to do is it allows you to play campaigns in bite-sized chunks, so
Okay.
you can complete the game essentially rather
Yeah.
than it dragging on for maybe months. You might be able to complete it in a weekend.
Okay.
But it's going to provide more content. It's going to provide more ways to succeed. There's new components called Smoky Bones, which are new dice that you can use in combination with the dice that you're already rolling.
All right.
And they're going to improve your odds generally.
Okay.
Bunch of new skills, new junk to customize your characters, new end game. So all sorts of fun stuff in Encore. And then Off the Rails is another expansion that we're doing right now, and that is essentially it's both hard mode but also more replayability mode in a way.
Okay.
So basically, we're adding a fresh coat of paint to each scenario in both the core game and in Encore.
I
So
like that. I like what you said there. Fresh coat of paint.
that was not intentional. uh, but so yeah, essentially, the scenarios that you've already experienced, you can
Mhm.
go revisit them, and they're going to have some new gameplay elements in them. Generally, these are going to be more challenging
Mhm.
because the expectation is that you've already played these before or that you're looking for an additional challenge.
Okay.
Um, so they're going to have new haint actions. They're going to have new events to explore, some rules adjustments that are going to tweak things a bit. Um, and then, in addition to all of those adjustments to existing scenarios, you're also going to be able to further customize your character with what we call devious deeds. And think of
Ooh.
them as kind of an objective based system.
Okay.
Each character is going to have their own deck of these cards, these devious deeds, that you can pick and choose from right at the start, so you know what the objective is and what the reward will be, so you're not blindsided by anything like that.
Okay.
And then you're working towards these objectives that are unique challenges in scenarios. And after you complete them a certain number of times, you're going to flip over that devious deed over and gain that reward. And that's going to either give you a little bit more humanity if you want to be more survivable, or maybe you want to tweak your passive effect, or maybe you want some extra little trigger that's going to happen based on other effects and that sort of stuff. So it's going to allow you to play your character a little bit more differently and adjust them at a deeper level rather than just skills and junk cards. So
Nice. Okay. I'm painting this miniature, by the way, of Mako Joe here. This like neck bone that looks like a femur is just the best.
I keep catching myself watching you paint.
Mhm.
And I am way behind.
Oh no, no, it's all good. It is all good. So, are you generally a painter?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that like I take it to like really serious levels, but I do
Hmm.
really enjoy painting.
Nice.
Generally, when I play a minis game or a board game, I try
Hmm.
to get the models painted before I actually play them.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a lot of fun doing them.
Nice.
Techniques and stuff. I mean, the naming of them, I'm horrible at. Dry brushing, I know, but
Right. Yeah. I mean, with this particular miniature, there's the potential with the lantern and the ghosts themselves throwing off that haint glow, that there
Yeah.
could be some object source lighting effect on your miniature, but that's an advanced technique that I don't normally uh, do or show, because what I like to do is I want people that are watching Path of the Brush to join us on this journey of painting miniatures. And I don't want there to be any initial barriers to that. And a lot of folks, I want them to know that, what's amazing about painting miniatures is, though we tend to, like, if I weren't on camera, right, and wanted people to see what we're doing underneath here, I would be painting with my hands close to my face, and I'd just be taking and doing a little bit more detail, right? And it's we at that closeness to our eyes, we're seeing every little detail, every assumed flaw, and we're critically judging our miniature. But I want them to know is that that's not where we play our games, and we don't play with our toys in our face, right? We play with our toys 3 feet away from us on the table, and if it looks
Right.
good at 3 feet away, you did a great job, and keep
No, I agree with that.
yeah,
And you should ultimately have as much fun painting the stuff as you are playing the stuff. So
agreed. Yeah, it shouldn't be a stressful endeavor. If anything, it should be calming. Maybe just having someone with a voice that just like, in our next episode, we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint.
yeah, yeah. Usually when I'm painting, I'm usually just either blasting music or a
Hmm.
podcast or something like that, and just trying to get
Nice.
in the zone.
Yes. I usually listen. I have this like playlist on YouTube called Tavern Music, and it'll play like songs from The Witcher and all this other stuff,
Okay.
because it really sets me in the mood to paint literally anything. I could be painting any genre, but when it's like um, when that music's playing, it really gets me in the mood to paint. And like when I am painting like uh, Relic Hunters, because that's my favorite is Relic Hunters. I love them. Um, I'll listen to the Witcher soundtrack or my Tavern Tales soundtrack, and it's just the best. All right, here we go. I'm gonna try this Toxic Mist and see if it gives us that wonderful paint vibe on these bad guys right here. Interesting. It's a little light. And looking at them, everything is blue. That blue green hainty. I love that word, by the way, haint. Mufasa. And it's kind of cool too that you guys have this going on during spooky season.
Yeah,
You
yeah. The
know,
timing's pretty great.
yeah, it's the best. All right. Yeah, this is not bad at all in regards to really being the color that we want it to be for that spoopy blue, the haint.
Oh yeah, I'm liking that.
Yeah. Toxic waste. Who knew? Or toxic mist. Who knew? I did. That's why I put it on. I use this color a lot when I'm painting like high fantasy um, ghost like creatures
Sure.
for D&D or whatever. Um, and I was like, that color is going to work perfectly for today's painting. Let's make sure it's on the table. Nice. So who's all joining us today? We got Bunny Kimber. Uh, this is who is this? We got Spilled Paint Pot. Love that. What a great name. Haunted Miniatures. Hey yo, weirdos. Uh, Defective Dice and Minis. Um, MOML is terrifying. You mean he doesn't give the best hugs? Uh, that's awesome. Evan Diesel got a sub from Bunny Kimber. Awesome. This is why I play with 75 gray plastic. I'm not the best judge of hugs. I like to listen to music that matches what I'm painting. So like spooky folky music for Vagrant Song minis for me. Nefarious 660. That is a great answer. And if there's, I believe there's a weird Discord, right? I believe
Yep.
there
Oh
is.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and if you're not in the Discord, you all should go check it out and share your spooky playlists that you would listen to when you paint your spooky miniatures. And that's one of the things I like about all the things that fall under the weird umbrella is it's a spooky verse, right?
Yeah, we like to dip both into horror and humor. I think we do a pretty good job of balancing those because you can't get too serious or scary without having that dash of humor and brevity.
Sure. Like Gremlins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the entire Bayou faction in Malifaux is a good example of that.
Yes, 100%. I'm now excited to learn more about what you're talking about, the new books coming out.
Yeah, we should have more news on that soon. We've been teasing some characters.
Okay. Is this something we might see at like maybe PAX Unplugged?
Maybe.
Maybe. Interesting. If only we knew some people that were going to be there.
At the very least, we will be there.
Yeah.
Weird. I'm looking forward to it. PAX Unplugged is one of my favorite conventions.
It's so good. I'll be there again this year. I'll be teaching some painting classes as I do, which people probably didn't know that. I actually teach. I'm teaching 3 classes at PAX Unplugged this year. This will be my 3rd year teaching there, and it is my class. I'll be teaching the same class 3 times, but it is literally called Painting for 3 Feet Away. Because I think that's a much more engaging and fun title than Painting 101, Beginner's Course. Come on, man, let's just paint for 3 feet away.
No, I like that. It makes it sound a lot less intimidating too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think that's the biggest hurdle that a lot of people have when they're painting. They're just kind of scared of the mistakes they're inevitably going to make, and it's just
right.
Find the fun in that.
Yeah, and the great thing about painting miniatures, like all things that you paint, is if you feel like you made a mistake, odds are you can paint over it.
Right. Yeah.
And it's all good.
I've done that plenty of times.
Right. I'm going to do it today. Oh, these are so good. So yeah, these ghosts are just brilliant. And put on my second little coat here. He's just a pretty little ghost. There was a flyer about it at Gen Con, wasn't there? A flyer about what at Gen Con? I'd love to take a Rick painting class. Yes. You'll realize real quick that you're probably a better painter than me. Nefarious says, in my local group, we call it the arm's length rule. That's a great rule. We don't play with our miniatures in our face. We play with them at arm's length, 3 feet away-ish. If you paint something and you think it looks bad, hold it at arm's length. Oh, a book. Oh, yeah. Oh, I believe there was. You guys, I think you did have a flyer for the book at Gen Con.
Yeah. We have we've shown off the cover of it.
Yeah. Good call.
Some of the characters.
Good call there, Cataran Llama. Cataran Llama, what a great name. Every time I think about a llama, I think about the llama from what was Napoleon Dynamite. Oh, just eat your food.
I actually, growing up in Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
my neighbors behind us actually had a llama farm.
What?
Yeah, so just wandering around in the woods, the first time I found this llama farm, and they didn't spit at me. They were
Ah,
friendlier than their reputation. So
dang it. Not that I wanted them to spit on you, but I wanted there to be a story about, this one time.
yeah. No fun. I mean, I think finding them was fun.
Oh, that does sound like a really cool adventure for sure. And what do you do with llamas? I know we're sidetracking here, but are they like, do you shear them like sheep and do something with their fur, or are they a meat
That's a good
source, or
question.
are they just there to look at and go, that's a llama, right?
I
Because
couldn't tell you.
we aren't using them as pack animals here in the United States, that's for sure. If anybody in the chat knows what llama farms, what the reason behind a llama farm really is, let us know, because I don't know everything about everything and
Yeah,
very
maybe
little
that's not
about
even
anything.
the right term. I just remember them having about a dozen or so llamas. Oh, the wool. Okay.
Oh, okay. This one time at the llama farm, I need to hear that story. Um, I got to be a hired hand on a llama farm for a couple of years, this Caterin llama. That's great. Llama wool is very common in South American stuff, same as alpaca. Haha. To give boops. The defective dice is the answer is to give boops. I think you're absolutely correct. That's cool. You can absolutely shear them and use the wool, but there's not a ton of income from one. If you win a ton of shows, the stud fees are pretty amazing. Ah,
Huh.
all right. Interesting. Spilled Paint Pot says in Peru they are used to guard the alpacas and for meat. I love
I
it.
gotta say, I didn't expect to hop on this and learn so much about llamas tonight.
But now I'm glad that we have.
Yeah.
And now we have one more thing we can go, hey, did you know? Just as like an icebreaker at an event, you just be like, just walk up to a group of people that are already in mid conversation and be that person. It's like, hey, did you know that in Peru they use llamas to guard the alpaca and are also used as a source of meat? Now you know, and then just walk away. People are like, who was that crazy person? And how do they know so much about llamas? I love it. So with Vagrant Song and the expansions coming out, um, will there be uh, playable demoable copies at PAX Unplugged?
I don't know about a full version of it,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as quick walk-ups, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we should be able to have that.
Nice.
I would anticipate that anyone who goes to PAX Unplugged should be able to play a few rounds of the Slag Pile Annie scenario.
Okay.
She is a ghost from Pittsburgh, from a Pittsburgh steel mill, where
Mm-hmm.
the steel mill workers would just talk to her, not knowing that she was a ghost, and she would offer advice and suggestions on doing things in this steel mill.
Okay.
Um,
Is
so in
this a
Vagrant
real?
Song,
Is this
this
a
is a real
real?
ghost.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, real ghost, right? Quotes,
Sure.
but
For those that believe, real deal.
right, exactly.
Okay. That's
But
wonderful.
yeah.
Slag
So
Pile
in Vagrant
Annie.
Song, you're trying to save her from this steel mill that's essentially hungry for the scrap metal, and you're trying to feed it,
Oh,
and trying to free her from the steel mill.
that's wonderful and awesome. And it sounds a little scary,
Yeah.
which it should. All right, gonna
Sounds
let
like we
those.
accomplished the goal then.
Yes. All right. But I love the concept behind the game where you, as the vagrants, are trying to give humanity back um, to the Haints, so that they pass on to the next plane. to the.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, early on when we realized we were going to be making ghosts the quote unquote villains or adversaries in the game, we
Mhm.
like, how do you kill a ghost, right?
Right.
So we started looking at healing mechanics in other games, and one in particular that I fondly remember is from Final Fantasy III, where you actually are fighting a phantom train, and you can give it healing potions and a phoenix down to fully heal the thing. And that
Okay.
was one of the big inspirations of our combat mechanics.
Okay. That is insightful. And for everybody that's listening, it's like you can actually take mechanics from video games and put them into board games. What? So good. This lantern is, in and of itself, a spooky little tool. With this ghost like coming right out of the crack in the back, it's like what? And this one actually, I hate to say it, the little one is the one that is gonna give me nightmares because his little face is like, I will destroy you. This is like, all right, hey guys, this is a really fun time here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and make sure to tip your waitresses. And this one over here is just like, oh, they didn't tip their waitresses. Oh my god. Yeah, but that one right here, I will eat your soul. So good. So good. All right. All right. So I'm gonna let those dry, and I'm going to grab a couple of the standees of the characters and creatures out of the box here so we can show some of these off. Okay, good. All right. Let's see what we got here. Yes, to give them boobs is the true answer. Katarina Lama says they did take the llamas to a pretty good number of craft fairs as like petting zoo exhibits. Okay, the idea that a llama is an alpaca bouncer amuses me. Hook me up with more llama facts. We need more llama facts. Yes, this is true. And so who is this one?
So that is the Boilermen,
Okay.
loosely inspired by an avalanche that happened in Wellington, Washington, in I believe 1910.
Wow.
Essentially, an avalanche hit a train, and the story behind these characters is that they tried to keep the train from freezing over and overdid it.
Oh no. Okay. And I'm looking for the one we talked about earlier, the mini arms character. Oh, there's Mako Joe. Look at him.
Yep.
Looking great. So good. And I love the glow coming off of that lantern. It's perfect.
That's him right there. Yep, that's the man in many limbs.
Yes.
He's just looking for a hug.
Yeah. Gives the best hugs, right? As they said in the chat. All right, now let's look at some of the characters one can play here. So we have this little wild one.
So that's the runaway, and she gets her trusty pup to play with her. So she's the only character in the game that can split up essentially on the board.
Okay. And then there is this one. I think is like an assassin.
That's the curse bearer. She is kind of the melee glass cannon of the character of the vagrants, I should say, and she's essentially been running away from this demon for a really long time and ends up in America and on this ghost train. So
Nice. And here's our wonderful our bard.
Yep, that's the songsmith.
Yeah, so good.
Always having a good time.
Right. And that's one of the things about this character. If I recall right, this one has where they inspire a positive attitude or just have a positive attitude.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much. I mean,
yeah.
he's playing songs to remind these ghosts of their past. I mean, he
Mhm.
has abilities like an old medley,
Yeah.
uh, and that's
There's the
the Runaways pup there. Yeah.
yeah, and I believe there was one more. This one with the purple rapier.
Yep, that's the Empress. She is the chaotic character of the game. So we have something called booming boxcars or
Hmm.
exploding dice. So when you roll sixes, you can keep rolling, and she
Hmm.
gets to roll more.
And more and more and more and more.
Right.
All right. Yeah, that was the last one, I believe. Yeah.
We do also have two other characters. You could play the revivalist,
Oh, right.
who's this healing character,
And then the old
and
man.
that's the Wayfarer right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the wafer.
the writer of the game, and we have a mechanic in the game called rummaging, where you can get these tokens and use them, and he's really good at
Oh, there
rummaging.
it is.
Yep,
It
that's the
was
revivalist.
it was hiding underneath the man of many arms or limbs. Yeah. It's like I got a hug. I like this one right here as
The
well.
Wendigo,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the Wendigo, I actually have a tattoo on my left leg that is Wendigo themed. So
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the Wendigo mythology. And in the Marvel comics, the Wendigo is another character I enjoy, even though they're a baddie. You know. But, all right. So there's what the acrylics look like, and they're awesome, and the artwork is phenomenal. And I hope that more iconic miniatures are created or based around more characters out of here, which would be awesome.
Well, actually, during our Kickstarter right now, we just unlocked Vagrant minis, so you can actually
Ooh,
get playable versions of the Vagrants as minis now.
okay.
So,
Then perfections,
right, yeah.
right? Um, I'm looking at the artwork here, and I'm wondering, because blue jeans were obviously existed, and I'm guessing his overalls are a little bit of a blue jean um, material, but grayed out. So I'm curious if this uniform gray, which has a blue tinge, will be an appropriate color for his overalls here. So let's
I could
give it
see.
give
I
it a
think
look.
I'm going to end up sticking with the traditional version of his art and just go with one of the later browns.
Okay.
But yeah, no, they are overalls,
Yeah.
so yeah, I could see blue working there. I think I'm going to start hitting the blood around his neck.
Around his neck. Yeah, and when I was first looking at it, at the miniature and everything, I was like, "Huh, what are these interesting little things here?" And then I went back to the art for reference. I was like, "Oh, of course it is. It's blood spurting out of his neck hole, and it's awesome." So there's not a lot of blue in this. So what I think I'll do, because it's got this uniform gray, doesn't have as much blue in it as I was thinking it would. What I'll do is I'll probably just base it with this gray because again, there's no mistakes. And then I'll take a um, dark tone wash to give it that browned effect. So I'll maybe get a little brownish like what you're putting together, just in a different way of accomplishing that. We shall see. I love it. And it was interesting. I think I was at Alliance Open House when and I was talking to Kelly and Nathan, and Kelly was like, "Grab that miniature. That's when we want you to paint." It's like, oh, okay, sounds great. It's like, wait, is this a playable piece? They're like, no, it's art. It's iconic. I was like, oh, okay, I love it.
Yeah, so this Mako Joe is coming out later this month, actually. So
Oh,
if
okay,
anyone out there wants to paint this, they're going to be able to get this at your local game store. So
nice. There are some of the iconics that are. I don't know if they're all out yet, but or that maybe I've seen some early production ones. But the character from Malifaux that is dancing with the girl under the street lamp.
yes, Seamus. Yes.
Ooh, that is super creepy, scary, but it's such a cool. It just looks. Just the pose is just so dynamic, and that's the one I really want to paint. Um,
That one's
because,
not out yet,
right.
unfortunately, but soon, hopefully.
Hmm.
And but we do have a bunch out already.
Yeah.
Some of the new ones that we just came out with are Archie. Archie is this friendly lumbering zombie in Malifaux with a
Okay.
giant tentacle on his back, with an affinity towards ice cream. And the iconic version of him basically shows someone took his ice cream cone and he's
What?
not too happy about it.
That doesn't seem right. How dare they? Um, Speaking of standees, what does Kyle think about the standees versus minis? I know Vagrant Song has some of the best standees I've ever seen.
So I'm of two minds of it. So for the longest time, I thought we were, just acrylic standees for Vagrant Song.
Yeah.
I love the way that they look, and they have really great board presence.
Hmm.
But there was something in me that just really wanted to paint some of these characters and have a three-dimensional version of them. So I like both. Can that be the answer?
I think that can be the answer. That's a great answer, actually. Um, the effective dice says, he's triggered my PTSD. Man of many limbs was my first TPK.
Oh, yeah, that is probably one of the harder fights in the
Mhm.
game.
And then Katarina Lama says, I mean, the runaway makes the haints frolic with the pup. And Katarina says, you've missed my favorite too. My gal. And then Bunny Kimber says, my gal, the Empress, based on Emperor Norton.
Yep.
Tell me more about Emperor Norton. What is that?
Yeah, he was a shopkeep owner in the, I want to say, 1840s in San
Okay.
Francisco. Lost his shop for one reason or another, and he started dressing up in a military outfit. And he
Okay.
kind of got this name, Emperor Norton, because he would be writing these uh, declarations, essentially.
Okay.
Really eccentric character, and yeah, the Empress is loosely inspired by him.
Okay. Very cool. And then the revivalist is still my favorite, says Nefarious. And Nefarious's wife says the revivalist looks like David Tennant. And I would almost have to agree with them because it does look like David Tennant. I can actually, and if it didn't look like David Tennant, the character should, if ever an animated series were to be made around this, Netflix,
We can
um,
dream.
right? Uh, David Tennant should do the voice.
I love it. That'd
Yeah.
be a great idea. So he was an original concept. He's not inspired by any particular character in history, but the idea of the traveling priest going from town to town,
Hmm.
healing people, so to speak. So
Yeah.
made sense to have that sort of character as a train hopper as well.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. That's amazing. I really struggle painting denim, so I'm so curious to see how you do this. That is a great thing to uh, hope to see a good job done. I'm also hoping I do a good job. um, so I I like watching there's these video content creators of these folks that like have recently bought like during the pandemic they bought like an abandoned silver mine shafts or this old ghost town with mining town out west, and they've been exploring the mines, the abandoned mines, looking for old denim because apparently old denim has a value to it, right? An odd price tag for like
Interesting.
if you got like an original pair of blue jeans from the late 1800s, it demands a decent bounty on it, I guess you could say. And when I see it, sometimes I'll find like scraps of denim, and it'll just be so old and crusting, it'll like crack when they are like showing, like taking some of the old dirt and stuff off of it. And I'm just like wondering, is like if someone were to come across now a full denim overall suit like this from back in that era, what kind of price tag that would pull from the people that are willing to pay that you know the hefty sum that you could potentially get. And I wonder what those numbers look like.
Yeah, I hadn't heard this. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. We do have a lot of characters in Vagrant Song inspired by American mines.
Okay.
We have Mako Joe is essentially guarding a mine, and
Okay.
after his scenario is or a tunnel, really.
Hmm.
And the next scenario is the Tommyknocker, which is Irish folklore that kind of migrated with the Irish to America,
Okay.
about these goblin-like creatures who would be knocking on the walls of these mines, sometimes mischievous, sometimes nefarious. In our game, it's a little bit of both.
As it should be.
Right. And then as you get further into that chapter, you actually experience what we pulled from. There's a tunnel called the Bloody Pit, and it was this tunnel that just series of horrible bad luck when developing it.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people passed away in putting it together, and it's got this haunted mythos now on it. So
Okay. We like to just call it a stank. It's got a stank on it.
There we go. Okay. I'll use that from now on. I like that.
Yeah. That's awesome. So the Bloody Pit is another scenario then in the game, yeah.
So in the scenario, there's the Bloody Pit in the center of the train car that's slowly pulling you in, and you have to avoid being pulled in over a series of rounds, and then you win or lose. So
nice, love it. We all want to win. We don't want to lose. that is what we want. All the wins. Save all the hints, and don't get taken with them.
We call that going westbound.
Westbound.
That's a hobo term for crossing over.
My wife said, okay, friendly. Katarina says, healing people, so to speak. Okay. Why on the denim bounty? I haven't tried to tackle painting denim, but I know I would use cross hatching until I lost my mind. JP Grodic Kit says they would pay about $350 on that denim. Nefarious is asking if I have a favorite ghost story. I don't know if I have a favorite ghost story so much as I have a favorite story of an animal that here in Michigan, when I lived in Clare County, and there was uh, kind of like this legend that if you saw an albino deer and an albino bear within like 48 hours of each other, it was like you were going to like pass on or go west. All
Hmm.
right. And I never saw the albino bear, but I have seen an albino deer. So I was like, oh gosh, no.
Close
Uh,
call there.
right. Uh, and that was something that, when I was in scouts and going to the Boy Scout camp up in mid Michigan on near a town called Clare, and that was like one of the ghost stories, and like they'd say is like on this campground you will come across, if you ever come across an albino deer, uh, you should not go out again, because if you happen to see the albino bear that roams these woods as well, within 48 hours you will find yourself dead. Like, what? I don't need to hear this as a kid, but I did. And yeah, and when I saw the albino deer, I was like, oh no. So I didn't leave my tent for like a day and a half because I
I
was
love those
scared.
kinds of stories
Yeah,
about they're so much fun. As long as you don't take them too seriously, they're
right.
fun.
And now come to find out there's a genetic mutation up in that area where deer they've had a large amount of albino deer popping
Oh,
up.
they're fairly common.
Yeah, like okay, so it's super funny.
A coworker of mine introduced me to kind of a cryptid like that from the state I'm from, Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
called the squonk, and it is this crying pig monster thing,
Okay.
hideous thing. But I'd only just heard of it, so I guess I'm a fake Pennsylvanian
No, but
because
that's
I'd
actually
never
a
heard of it.
what a great name.
Right?
Uh, are you familiar with the creature called the Wookalar?
No, please tell me more about that.
So this was in a Tom or a Don Knotts and um, it was like Private Eyes or some detective movie where Don Knotts and I can't remember the other actor. He was another comedic actor of the era, like the early '80s, and Don Knotts would tell me, well, you got to be careful. Wookalar get you, and it's like a man with a pig's head that would suck the brains of a chicken out through its beak, and all this stuff.
Okay.
And I was like, this is just brilliant. The Wookalar needs to be revitalized. It's such a funny, funny character.
Do you know if that was like just made up for the movie, or is
I
that
I
pulled
don't
from
know.
something?
I feel like it was. Will, are you looking it up?
I'm trying. Yeah,
The
I'm looking.
Wookalar. I'm wondering if anybody in there's like, yeah, man bear pig is basically what it is.
The movie
Interesting.
was The Private Eyes.
Private eyes.
Okay.
All right. Um, you can't have a pit without a pendulum. Nice. That's also true. Mom has a whole series of stories she tells about the monster up on Walker Mountain. Ooh, that sounds amazing. I don't know them, but the greatest cryptid isn't in Vagrant Song. When do we get the friendly Sasquatch as an ally? Well, they have
uh,
to get permission to use my likeness, where I am the Sasquatch.
The Wookalar was specific to The Private Eyes.
Oh, it's specific to Private Eyes?
Yep.
Okay. It's such a. Did they show a picture of it? If you
Yes,
go to.
they did.
Yeah, it's
I'll see if I can pull it up.
yeah, the Wookalar. And it is basically man bear pig. um, this is Squonk Erasure, and it will not stand. This chat tonight is just glorious. So, for everybody in the chat, we appreciate you being here. And we would ask is if you haven't yet, hit the follow, hit the get notifications bell. And if you haven't used your Amazon Prime, if you have Amazon Prime, uh, you can get a free subscription to a channel, and that helps with the content creation that take place here. Because besides Path of the Brush, which I might be a little biased, it's pretty cool. There are multiple other amazing shows and content creators on Gen Con TV, bringing you weekly entertainment and news and information about the industry, the games that we all love to play, from board games to RPGs to miniatures. Everything that exists in our space is represented, and that follow, that like, all that stuff. It helps, and the subscription doesn't cost you anything more on your Amazon Prime, but it does help the channel if you're so inclined to give it a go here. We appreciate it. And also maybe check out some of the other shows that are on the channel, like the Brothers Murph or Actor Roki with Peter Atkinson and all the things he's doing over there at Caldea Studios.
The Brothers Murph actually just played a live play last night of Vagrant Song, and that was a ton of fun to watch. Yeah,
perfect.
I got the Wookalar picture.
Oh yes, let's see this Wookalar.
Oh, nope, I don't want that. I don't want to see that.
There it is, Man Bear Pig.
There you go.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, and just so you know, the makeup process for this was not too bad. I was able to handle it. Because that was back before I had dental work done. So that was all natural dental work, dental stuff going on there. So, no, Private Eyes. I was a kid when that came out, and it was, for whatever reason, has stuck in my brain like a virus that just won't go away.
I think the first cryptid movie I saw as a kid was Harry and the Hendersons.
Great movie. Great movie. So good. You just can't go wrong with a good Bigfoot Sasquatch.
Right.
All right. Take some more love on these ghostlies here.
Yeah, that's what I just started working on. Going with a dark blue now so I could later hit it with something lighter.
Nice. Let's take a look. We haven't seen your progress.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to see much. I swear the shirt is painted. You might be able to see a little bit of that gray in there. It's just the first base coat in there. Got the red in there. Now I'm just starting to work on the ghost there.
That's good. It looks good.
Picking away at it.
Yeah.
I like being slow when it comes to painting. I like taking my time, and enjoying it.
It is again, that's a part of the process, is finding your pace, right?
Right.
I actually like painting fast. Probably because I've been doing it like this for so many years, where I want to get a miniature done in an hour 45.
Mm-hmm.
This one will not get done in an hour 45 because it is a larger miniature, and it is got some really cool and interesting effects going on that I want to make sure I do it justice. So there will be a post picture of the completed job done, and you can find that over on my personal socials, like TikTok. I'll probably put something up on TikTok and Instagram for Thunderforge Studios, which is my studio here in Lansing, Michigan, where I do all the silly videos that I do on different platforms, but mainly TikTok. How many aquariums does this guy have? Let's see here.
I have two behind me, and I have one upstairs.
Nice.
Yeah, I love aquariums. It allows me to be creative without the work stress of being
Sure.
creative.
Yeah.
Making these little micro worlds and maintaining them and stuff. Yeah, it's really relaxing.
And it gives
That
you
is
the
my
power of God over the creatures within your world you've created in the aquatic realm of the aquarium. Right?
that is exactly what I say when I change the water.
It's like
Yeah, right. Or feed
you're,
them. You're
like
welcome.
you're standing with them. Your life depends on whether I deem you worthy of this hearty meal.
These fish flakes. Yeah.
And they all start coming up because they know you're about to feed them. And you're like, yes, yes, you are worthy. I can see how that could be very addictive. I need this power. So, what kind of aquatic life do you have in your aquariums behind you?
So I've got some rainbow fish.
Nice.
But the fanciest thing in the tank isn't even a fish; it is a shrimp.
Oh, interesting.
It's called a vampire shrimp. They get about 5 inches long. They're
Okay.
from Africa,
Uh-huh.
and they're called vampire shrimp not because they're bloodsuckers or anything like that, but their front claws look like vampire teeth. And they basically are just fanning the whole time.
Mm.
They're filter feeders.
So, because they are not actual blood suckers, it's for that reason I'm out. As soon as you said vampire fish, I was like, "What? Tell me more." No, but the fact that they look like their fangs, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and is that in just one of the aquariums, or is that like a mix between the two?
So that's in the big one behind me.
Mhm.
Which way do I need to turn? All the lights are turned off, but the one behind me is a 30-gallon. It's got those guys in it. The one next to me here is still kind of a work in progress. It's the newest tank.
Mhm.
Basically, I'm still trying to cycle it, which is a process of maintaining the health of the tank, the nitrogen cycle, and all that. So
Okay.
not all that exciting, except for plants. If you want to geek out on aquarium plants,
Well, this leads me to an idea, and not that I want to like be like, well, you know what you should do with your games, but I feel like the idea that you have with Vagrant Song and it being on this train where all these haints and the vagrants are interacting, that something very similar could also occur on like a riverboat,
huh?
right? Right? Because I feel like the same types of individuals might be found on the riverboats, but you could also incorporate maybe a different class of character, like a Mark Twain like character or something like that. That and deal with the different types of haints and ghosts that would occur on a old timey riverboat, right? A gambler, um, the gun a potential gunslinger or an outlaw that is, or another doctor type,
Sure.
you know, any of those type of similar characters that existed in the almost the exact same era,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Can't speak on that. Who knows what's in the future of
Yeah, who
our
knows?
games development? But I guess Nathan and Kelly, if you're listening,
I mean, that's
maybe
as far as I
let's.
can go with it myself. Because after that, I'm just like, oh, there's something else shiny over there. I'm sorry, but I definitely, I mean, it it just seems like it could be interesting to also the aquatic beasts of Americana,
Oh
right?
yeah, I'm with you. I'm on board with this.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to think of what are some of those are. I mean, you've got ghost stories that exist in like up and down the Mississippi,
Oh yeah.
right?
in Appalachia, they told me about the giant killer catfish that lived
What?
in the Whitewater Rapids.
A giant killer catfish in Appalachia?
Yeah,
Did I say that right? Appalachia? Or is
I
it
think so.
Appalachians?
Yeah.
I know some folks will get all bent out of shape if you don't say it right.
Yeah, I think it's Appalachia in for the most part of it, but I'm from the Pocono Mountains, which is
Hmm.
um, a little bit of a branch of the northern Appalachians. It's
Okay.
Appalachia up there,
Okay.
so I think it's just a dialect thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And plenty of people have told me I'm wrong on that. So
Right. I mean, again, you could. There's another one. You could do a whole type of scenario based on the Appalachian Trail.
sure, yeah,
There's lots going on.
a fair amount of the ghosts in the game are pulled from those regions.
Yeah.
So
Nice. There's so many good things. Muhaha. All right. Vampire shrimp, not actual vampiric. I am suddenly sad, says JP. Steam powered scoundrels, literally Mark Twain. I love Steam. That steam powered scoundrels. What a name. That's one of the things about Twitch that is just like people come up with some really awesome names, like Nefarious 60. I feel like Hemingway was way more likely to hang out on riverboats. Yeah. Bunny Kimber says, Champ. I'm sitting here playing Dredge, fishing up mutated fish to feed the Cthulhu cultists.
that is a fun game. I've played a little bit of Dredge.
Okay.
It's a video game where you're on a fishing boat. You go out every morning to go collect fish, and at night there's Cthulhu-esque monsters out there in the waters that you have to deal with. So
that seems right.
right.
JP says we just say the hills in regards to that and Appalachians. If you heard your name, no, you didn't. If you know, you know. Yeah, that's the what is that thing where if you're up in the mountains and you hear your name, is that like a skinwalker thing, or you don't go towards it? You don't go towards someone calling out your name in the mountains. I feel like that might be something that the old gods of Appalachia type thing. And mud puppies, which the locals swore would eat your fingers if you stuck them in the river while in the rapids. Interesting. JP says it's dialect, Appalachia or Appalachia. Either is acceptable. And he goes, I'm from the Chan, not the A-Chan part of the mountain range. Oh, it's so good. And then Spilled Paint Pot says 100% agree with JP's. So yeah, haunted boats, thumbs up. Nice. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love the idea.
Cool. Mailbox money. Not just kidding.
We'll send you the check.
It's in the mail. That's all I need to hear. It doesn't never need to arrive. It's in the mail. I like it. No, that's funny. And he's probably sitting there going, Rick, we've been working on this for 2 years. Stand by. I'll be like, what? And that's one of the things I think is interesting when you think about game design and you think about Vagrant Song, right? People don't realize that, muggles don't realize, and I hate to say that I hope it doesn't come across like dismissive of people that aren't necessarily in the industry or in the know of how everything works, but game design takes time. And when I hear you say it was a 2+ year process to make this game a reality in its original iteration, that to me sounds about right. But for some people, they're like I've told people like, oh, I have this cool idea for a game. 3 weeks later, hey, is your game done yet? I really want to check it out. What? No, I just had an idea for a game, and it's still just an idea. Well, why haven't you worked on it? I don't know. Life. But it does, I think that's one of the interesting things that people should take on board is when it comes to the process of making these things that everybody is enjoying, such as Vagrant Song, it takes time, energy, blood, sweat, tears to put it together and get
Yeah.
people on board.
Yeah,
So,
lots of iteration, lots of scrapping your favorite ideas.
right.
Um, and one
Ooh,
thing I like
yeah.
to tell new designers is that the last 10% of that development is 90% of the work. So
Okay.
crossing that threshold of finishing it is a huge milestone. Even if your game ends up being, crud, it's completing it is a huge milestone. You should be
Yeah,
proud of that.
absolutely. Um, and that actually opens up an interesting question is, can you talk about something that you really were like, it was one of your babies in the game, but you had to throw it out?
I could talk about one that so something about killing your darlings.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you do that, you can hold on to them. You can put them in like a notebook and
Mm-hmm.
find the right time to bring them back. And there is one thing that we did end up bringing back for Vagrant Song. So in the core game, we wanted to do something called Save Your Soul scenarios, where you could experience some of the backstories of the vagrants.
Okay.
Like if they went westbound, maybe you could go save them. And
Ooh, nice.
due to a dozen factors, time, schedule, budget, we couldn't make it work in
Okay.
the core game. But once we realized we were making an expansion for it, we revisited the idea, and now Save Your Soul scenarios are in Encore. So
Nice.
it adds a new wrinkle into the game. You get to experience their backstories a little bit more. You get special, unique skills if you save them this way. So yeah, not all of those ideas that get scrapped should be scrapped forever. I like
Right.
to keep a notebook of
Mm-hmm.
of those things, just because even if it doesn't work for the project you're working on, it might
Mm-hmm.
work for something else.
Yeah.
And we've actually seen that a little bit with crossover between Vagrant Song and Malifaux. Actually,
Okay.
um, there was one character that in very early development. Like before we were even putting thoughts to paper, it was really during the very early brainstorming. We considered doing Casey Jones, who
Oh,
is
okay.
a fairly famous train conductor who stopped his train in a fairly devastating way, lost his life that way, but he saved a lot of people in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, we ended up going with Mako Joe instead because the characters kind of fit the same sort of role in what we were trying to accomplish. But
Mm-hmm.
years later, we actually just revealed in the latest book that we're doing for Malifaux that Casey Jones is a character that we're going to be using in Malifaux. So
Ooh, nice.
yeah,
That's super cool. We are at a time in our show where I need to give a shout out to some folks and some sponsors. So big shout out to Ultra Pro for sponsoring us. They make these amazing things called character clamps to protect your miniatures once they've been completed, or if you need to transport them between, working on them and painting them. If you are at New York Comic Con next week, I will be there running the paint and take, and we'll have some available so you can see how they work, or you can check them out at ultrapro.com. Also, big shout out again to Army Painter for all the wonderful paints that we get to use and play with and show off here on the show. A big shout out to Game Envy, the makers of the character clamp, which is this right here, fun little device. I'm not using it today just because it's not really going to work for what we're doing. They also are the ones that make my brush, and they have these cool, you saw in the opening video, the water cup, the collapsible water cup that they make, which is great. And then also, who else we got? Gen Con TV. Again, if you haven't hit that follow and get notifications bell, please do. Every follow helps build a great community around gaming here at Gen Con TV. And Will, who am I missing?
Mats by Mars.
Mats by Mars. I can't forget Mats by Mars. If you notice beneath everything here, we got this wonderful painting mat with our friendly guardian gamer here, the polar bear, one of our mascots here at Thunderford Studios. And Mats by Mars made this wonderful paint mat for us that we take to different events, and they're super fun, and they keep your desks clean or your workstation clean. And yeah, so awesome. Mats by Mars, check them out as well. Just look them up on the Google. I think that's how you say it, the Google. And yeah, and again, thanks to Weird for allowing us to bring Kyle on and talk to him and get into his brain about all things that is Vagrant and all the fun stuff that he does in this industry. And we got more to ask because we aren't done. And I think the last thing we should say thank you to is, again, everybody in the chat who's just being awesome and having great names. Again, Steam Powered Scoundrels. And it's just awesome. And teaching us about llamas. Thank you all for all that information. Now back to it. If you could, Kyle, work on any IP outside of what you currently work on.
Oh boy.
Do you have a dream IP that maybe isn't even producing anything, or what is yours?
I don't know if I have one. I think I'm one of those. I like making my own. Ultimately, I really like
that
the world building process of
Mm-hmm.
Building games and starting off from scratch. But
that's a great answer.
I wouldn't mind making a Fez board game, the video game Fez. That's one of my favorite games. It's really bright and cheery and a puzzle game, and that's kind of a space that I would not have a lot of comfort in initially, and I think that would be a really cool and fun
okay. Is it something
exercise.
That's not, something outside of your current comfort zone, or
something to kind of stretch my own skills a little bit, and I think that could be fun. But ultimately I like making stuff from scratch, and that's one of the huge benefits of working at Weird and like on projects like Malifaux and Vagrant Song is that we get a lot of control over where things are going. There isn't some IP overlord telling us that there's a button missing on that character's shirt,
right.
So
or the eyebrows must look like this.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So one of the reasons I asked you that question specifically is I know that Nathan has an IP, and he and I share an IP that we'd both love to work on. Have you ever heard what his IP is?
I mean, there's a handful, and some of them I share with him, actually, now that I come to think about it. Okay. If I could ever get my hands on a Ghostbusters IP, that would,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, I could see that, but I'd be curious about knowing the
one that he and I share.
Yeah,
Thundar the Barbarian.
Okay, all right. Yeah, he's spoken about that before. Sure.
Yeah. I love Thundar the Barbarian when I was growing up, because here's the thing, and I don't think there's anybody in the chat that has had to suffer this in the past. But did you know that in 1994, a runaway planet from outer space collided between the Earth and the Moon, unleashing cosmic destruction? Man's civilization was destroyed. 2,000 years later, a new civilization is reborn. A strange new place filled with science, sorcery, and savagery. I think super science is in there too. But one man breaks his bonds to fight for freedom with his faithful companions Ukla the Mock and Princess Ariel and his fabulous sun sword. That man is Thundar the Barbarian.
Is this verbatim from the opener?
No, there's a few little tweaks in there.
Okay, sure.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. It's literally my favorite IP. I would love to do a deck builder game based on it. and also an RPG system, because it only had about like a season and a half of content before it went into syndication, and they didn't expand on it. And so there's so much that you could build off of in that verse, the future verse of Earth. It would just be freaking the best. Just saying. Let's see. Ghost Train should team up with Ghost Boat. Agreed. Spilled Paint Pot says, I often wonder in game design, how many ideas get scrapped versus how many ideas make it to production? Is that an 80-20 rule, or 99 and 1?
I think it really depends on the project. Especially with a project as big as Vagrant Song, a lot of ideas got scrapped. Especially in the early part when we were figuring out what ghosts and cryptids we were going to utilize. That list was probably 50 to 70 long, and we cut it down to about 20. So there's just so much content in the real world to pull from.
That's wild. 50 to 70. That's nuts. And hopefully we, like you said, you brought Casey Jones. Maybe there'll be others that we get to see that were scrapped in the original concept piece. That would be awesome.
And some of them have made them their way into the expansion, into Encore. Like early on there, we had listed the Dungarvan Whooper, which is a hint in Vagrant Song Encore. Didn't make it into the core game, but we found a good spot for him in the expansion, and he's a Canadian ghost.
Okay.
Nice. And essentially his backstory was that he was a cook for a lumbering camp. And he had this money belt. Back in the day, they wouldn't have wallets. They would have these belts with where they would keep their money on them. And all the lumberjacks disappeared, or went off doing their own thing, except the Whooper and his boss. And one bad thing led to another, and the Whooper got buried in a shallow grave. And to this day, in that forest right now, you can supposedly hear the Whooper's whoops. So yeah, that's where that character
creepy.
Came from.
That's creepy. Nice.
So in Encore, the way we're interpreting that story is that you're going to be making meals to satisfy the Dungarvan Whooper while trying to find things like his money belt.
Okay. I mean, that sounds like a brilliant scenario. Steam Powered Scoundrel says, how high of a stretch goal do we need to reach to get a spooky animated miniseries a la Over the Garden Wall? Great comic and great animated series. Spilled Paintpot says, love that Mats by Mars does a M3E overlay. They do.
My mat is actually a Mats by Mars.
Dostrowski says, hello from Mexico. Hola. Defective Dice says, he already works on the best IP. You're not wrong. Look at that. Defective Dice knows what's up. JP, bright and cheery, just like people that wear fez. My weird IP I'd love to see some games exploring is Gravity Falls. Nefarious 60. This is the second time I've had a reference to Gravity Falls today. I was talking to a guy who runs a Comic-Con today, and we started talking a little bit about Gravity Falls in regards to a photo, like a static photo booth, which was kind of neat. JP says, character designed by Jack the King Kirby. Correct. That is Thundar's original character designer is Jack Kirby.
I got the title screen if you want to let me put it up.
What? I don't know if we can. Is it by the time you're done with the game, it will have gone through so many iterations, and trying to avoid broken combos, it will be nearly unrecognizable, and someone will still find a way to break it, hence second and third editions and so forth. Correct. That does seem to be the way of the game design, right? It's so good. Oh, just the title image, or did you
Yeah.
have the actual video?
Just the image.
Okay, all right, I saw it. Yeah, Thundar the Barbarian, so good. Uh, yeah, so Mako Joe is coming along. I'm gonna attach what I've got done here so we can kind of see what he kind of looks like here with all the little goodies going on. And this guy, where is your add-on there? Go. And then this guy, oh God, he's gonna step on me. So good. So good.
One thing I found is that this model is super easy to put together.
Oh, yeah.
Malifaux does have a bit of a reputation for complex models. You know, we like dynamic poses, but Mako Joe here is a piece of cake to build.
Oh, absolutely. And there he is. Coming along. And again, this is the nightmare fuel that all people should avoid. Is this one right here. This one's happy. This one's scared. And this one's like, I will eat your soul. So good. I love it. But yeah, as far as like putting them together as you're painting them individually, it looks great. And I think I'm going to put some work on them with a little of the object source lighting coming off the glow of the haints around his legs and off of his the one coming out of the lantern here, where there'll be a little bit of glow wash on his shirt here, which will, I think, look pretty neat. So yeah, it's looking amazing. But our time is almost up. So is there anything that everybody in the chat should know or should be doing to help support the current Kickstarter?
Well, I mean, head there, search for Vagrant Song Encore Kickstarter. You should be able to find it. If you're interested in boss battlers or spooky ghost stories, there's a bunch of different pledge options. So you can even pledge at $1 to just get into the pledge manager, or you can, I think we actually just put out the all-in pledge. If you want the whole kit and caboodle, you can do that. So lots and lots of game content. We have extra scenarios to add to the game outside of the expansions that we're doing. So yeah, if you're interested in anything that we've been putting together, I'd go check it out.
Nice. And in the event that you're not in a position to back it, share it. Please share the link for the Kickstarter on your socials and let all of your friends and associates know that, hey, here's this awesome thing that I like. You should go get it so that we can play it, because whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you can't get it now either, pretty much everything will be available at retail eventually as well. So we love supporting our local game stores. Our games literally could not have survived, without them. Malifaux is a face-to-face game, so
100%.
So yeah,
nice.
A lot of the stuff will be coming out there.
And don't forget, follow Weird on all of their socials: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. They have a TikTok. You should go check it out. And I believe Twitter or Blue Space or Bluehost. I don't know what's going on over on those platforms, but if maybe, I don't know. But definitely
we are on Twitter, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. That Discord that you mentioned, especially if you just want to, chat with the developers, we're there all the time. So
nice. Yeah, give them a follow everywhere so you don't miss out on any of the amazing news. And if you're at a convention or want to go to a convention that they're at, you'll know where they're going to be next. Based on their socials, they are very much about like keeping people informed on where you can find them. Yes. So do that.
And chances are I'll be at that convention, so make sure to say hello.
Yes. And like you're like a demo machine at conventions. Every time I see you, you're demoing a game and just in it. And I've taken so many videos of you just demoing your games. I don't know if you realize this. If you go to, because I make content for your guys' TikTok. And if you go to your TikTok channel, any video that there's a convention that something's being shot at, I almost always get you doing a demo. Like I'll come over your shoulder and I'll pull away and I'll do like a little walk around and showing you doing like gesticulating to the people like, oh, this is what, without any audio of you saying anything, just you doing your job, doing your thing. And
I had no idea these videos existed.
yeah,
so
I'm almost
go look
in
these up.
every con that we've been to where you're at since we were allowed to go back to conventions. I've gotten you at least at every con that we've been at.
Yeah, since Vagrant Song has been out, I've basically been parked in front of that demo, just repeating it, going through the spiel. But it's a blast to teach people how to play the game.
Of course, it's your game. You want more people playing the game. Yeah, so good. Let's see what else we got in the chat before we have to sign off here. Spilled Paint Pot says dynamic poses win tiny pieces. I'm looking at you feather in the hat of Nino. Oh, the feather in the hat of Nino.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
It's a sacrifice we've got to pay though for those pretty sculpts, right?
Right. Bunny Kimber put a link again, and I know that it's not going to show those links in here, but if you again for the Kickstarter, if you just go to Kickstarter or go to Google and look up Vagrant Song Encore Kickstarter,
you'll find it.
It'll take you right to it. JP says looks lovingly at first edition Malifaux Resurrectionists, all metal all the time. So good. And on that note, Kyle, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your insight and everything that you do for our industry, bringing not just fun, but also just being you, man. You're the best. And we appreciate you coming on today and sharing everything that you did with us today in regards to Vagrant Song and Malifaux and, aquatic worlds of Domino.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This has been a blast.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to have you on again because I know there's going to be more projects. Maybe season 3. There might be another opportunity because I'm sure sometime next year you guys are going to be doing something awesome, and we're going to need to talk about.
We got some stuff in cooking right now, so
yeah. Oh yes, and I'm excited for all of it. It sucks because I know things and I can't say things.
Right? Yeah.
And for, again, everybody that's been watching, thank you so much. You guys have been amazing in the chat. We really appreciate the engagement, the questions, the comments, and the humor that exists in this community. It's the best. On that note, I'm Rick. Thank you, Will, in the background as producer today. And thank you, Gen Con TV, for allowing us to do all this weird stuff. Until next time, you can lick your brush. Don't eat the paint. We'll see you later.